Are you planning an outing with friends? Well, come and join me as I discover the charity shops in Bexhill on the East Sussex coast. If you love all things charity shop, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You'll find the big red button next to the description underneath this video. And all that means is that next time you open the YouTube app on your phone, tablet or laptop, you'll have my next video waiting for you. My top tip if you're visiting a new town is to go to your phone and type in where are the charity shops near me, and we did just that and found 12 charity shops within easy walking distance. And my other tip would be to ask the shop staff for recommendations. Now, the lady working in this first store actually worked in a shop in Eastbourne, and she said there were plenty more charity shops there to explore, so we're putting that down for another day. My friends and I enjoy the homewares, vintage vases and crockery sets, so we always head off to the back of the store to see what we can find. So the charity shops here in England are usually quite small, so there's probably only 2 or 3 shelves for you to look at. But we did find some lovely things. You'll have to let me know in comments what it is you think I bought, or what you would have bought if you had been shopping with us. As well as the 12 charity shops, we also spotted one lovely antique shop, and this is where we're visiting now, and also a couple of house clearance stores. So I just love this display here of the Harrods Christmas decorations. And then when we visited Bexhill, it was one of those really, really hot days, so we were quite pleased to be able to go to the cool of the cellar in the basement of this shop. This store is called Font, and I'll leave a link to their Instagram in the description underneath the video. Plenty to look at. Lovely blues and whites there with a little fish, old-fashioned typewriter, empty frames, and this lovely crockery set here. Isn't that just fabulous? I'm an avid fan of Lady Mary Beth here on YouTube, and she loves blue and white crockery and chinoiserie, so I'm always drawn to the blue and whites. These were 2 huge meat platters. And here is Matt's, which is a house clearance store, so it had a lovely display of finds in the front window, and it was a bit of a junk shop inside, so you need to take your time and pick through the boxes. We did spot this red and white transferware coffee pot. Its lid was missing, but wouldn't that make an excellent vase? And from the huge blue and white platters at the antique store, I found this really tiny blue and white jug. And then as we move on to the next shop, just a glimpse of some of the more valuable items in the display cases as we move on to the next shop. I like to take a general overview of the shelves to begin with, and then hone in on the items, and always remember to look up to the top shelf and down to the bottom. So this was a rather interesting vintage vase, probably designed to have a piece of floral foam at the top. It's £1. It was actually plastic. And then a very desirable Pyrex bowl here. I think that price tag says £15. And don't forget to spend a little bit of time checking out the shop window display too. You can always ask a member of staff to fish something out for you. You never know what you might find. See that floral painting there? My friend had the 2 smaller paintings, slightly smaller, that she managed to find at a bric-a-brac stall at one of the flower festivals we visited recently. I'll see if I can find that video and leave it in the description. And that's exactly what my friend did. She asked to see the painting, paid for it, and now she's got a set of 3 to enjoy at home. And of course, I'm always drawn to vases and all sorts of flower arranging paraphernalia, particularly interested in this little basket, and we spotted a number of them throughout the day, and I've sort of playing that mental game afterwards of trying to work out where you found matched sets across all the shops that you visited. This shop was beautifully set out, and this was a little corner with a blue and white collection, including some Wedgwood jasperware. And there's a willow pattern teacup and saucer with some Delft pieces too. I rather like that jug there at the back, interesting shape. And here is another piece of Wedgwood always have a little bit of a giggle as well, because we spot this ice rose pattern in nearly every shop we go to. And here's some Villa and Bock on the bottom shelf, little soup dish and bowl in the Balmoral pattern, I think that is. I'm on the lookout for blue and white plates and saucers that I can make a door wreath with, but then we spotted this classic looking urn. It was by Arthur Wood, but at £10 I decided it was a bit too expensive. And if I hadn't already found myself a magnifying glass at a recent house sale, I would definitely have bought one of these for £1. And here's another familiar piece, a little bit of what looks like to be imitation Chippendale glass. And then on to more dishes and plates, rather taken by this bold red and white pattern. Had a little bit of age to it rather than being a modern piece. And then staring through the windows again, can you see the Davison cloud glass up on that top shelf? Let's go inside and see if we can get a slightly better view of it. Looks lovely, catching the light there. Another little blue and white jug, and check out the Wedgwood ice rose next to it. A lovely back stamp by Fenton in the old willow pattern. This jug was priced at £4. Don't forget to let me know in the comments whether you would have spent your £4 on the jug, or perhaps something else catches your eye. I acted as tour guide throughout the day and followed along with Google Maps directing me which way to go. So we found another street with another set of charity shops, and I think there was another house clearance shop along this row as well. So a pretty little soup bowl here, some lovely midwinter, rather taken by this pattern, but I just don't like the shapes of the cups. A little bit too modern for my tastes, although it probably dates from the 50s and 60s. Another beautiful shop front. Bexhill is quite an old-fashioned town, so it hasn't really got modern shopping centres and things like that, so it's really lovely to look at the very old architecture. And inside, another piece of Wedgwood jasperware in a dark blue pattern, and this blue and white platter caught my eye. It says mended, and I think that price was £6.50, so this must have been mended quite some time ago. It's got some metal stitches across the back of the dish, and then as you turn it over you can just see the faintest of brown lines running up through the centre. And then we spotted some Wedgwood. These plates were £4.50 each. Again, I did think about these, but I decided I didn't really have the wall space to display them. That brings us to the end of our shopping trip, but don't click away. Watch on to the end of the video and I will share my thrift haul with you. Here we are driving home, passing the 1930s Delaware Pavilion, and it was the end of a long, hot, sunny day, but this sunlight across the Kent and Sussex countryside was just beautiful.
Turn right onto Moor Hill, A229. Continue on
From memory, I think this is Sissinghurst Village, and you might know Sissinghurst, the National Trust property, famous for being the home of Vita Sackville-West, who was one of the Bloomsbury set. And here we are driving through the small village of Pluckley, which is reputed to be the most haunted village in England, and the pub there was one of the film scenes from the 1980s TV series The Darling Buds of May. Did you guess right? So not all these plates are from the charity shop, but I wanted to have them. But I've been looking for blue and white plates to make a blue and white wreath for my front door. So that is what I've been looking for. So one of the plates that you would have seen at the charity shop was this plate from Crown Trent. It's called Pax Lodge, and Pax Lodge is a girl guiding accommodation which I believe is in London, so I think this is probably made as a souvenir dish, and what attracted me to it was, number one, it was blue and white, and number two, I was a Queen's Guide. And then there's a lovely Wedgwood plate as well. So this is the one with the raised detail around the edge and the little Grecian scene. I think it's a lady driving a chariot with 2 horses. I always have a little bit of a giggle with my friends when we go to the charity shop, because number one, we always spot Jasperware, and number two, we pretty much always spot this design too, and it's also Wedgwood, and this one is called Ice Rose. So I spent £1, no, I think it was £1 on this dish, £1 on the other, £1.50 on the Wedgwood. And then the 2 dishes that I didn't buy from the charity shop were these ones here. So this is a little butter pat from Burley Pottery. I got this on the seconds. They send me a regular weekly newsletter, and I couldn't resist buying something that reminded me of my trip to the potteries. And if you want to watch that video, I'll make sure to leave a link to it underneath this one. So that's the calico, blue calico in pale blue, and this is an espresso saucer in the more traditional dark blue. So they were a little bit more and pricey. In fact, I would say the 2 of these dishes, even though they were seconds, cost just as much as my whole thrift haul. But I just couldn't wait to complete my blue and white collection in order that I would have a complete circle of saucers to make a door wreath with. And I also bought a piece of Pyrex, not for cooking with. I'm going to be using it as part of my flower arranging paraphernalia and containers. So a nice watertight container. I can imagine putting scrunched up chicken wire in here, perhaps putting it inside another basket, just so it is an unobtrusive vessel for holding water. So this cost me £1.50, and you can see it's got the Pyrex mark on it and some other writing too. I can't quite make it out in this light. And talking about baskets, I bought this pretty little ceramic basket in a soft nude beige cover, and when I turn it over you can see that I spent £1 on it, and it's by DC Stoneware, England. I can just imagine that sitting on my kitchen windowsill with a few offcuts. And lo and behold, I bought a pair of baskets. These were £2 each, and again they're by DEC, so it's DEECEE. So these have got more of an earthenware rough feel to the edge and glazed inside, and they both cost £2. This one's the smaller one, and this one here is slightly larger. There, that's a better view of the back stamp. And just for fun, I bought this little dish here. It was outside one of the charity shops where they were suggesting just donation only, so I put some loose change in from my purse. It's got a chip here, and the maker's mark says Hornsey Pottery, made in England, 588 being the pattern. So what attracted me to this little dog with the chipped base? I don't know whether it is a sugar bowl, but I've got exactly the same little dog with a tree trunk. Mine is about this deep, and it is a jam pot. I've got a lid on it, and my dog sits on the lid. And when I was a small girl, I used to love setting the table for special occasions and spooning out some jam from the jar into this pot, and I was distraught when I dropped it one day and the lid broke, and my dad chiselled off my little dog from the lid, and I've kept that ever since. And in fact, a few years ago I found a replacement little pot, so I thought this would be a good friend. So now I've actually got 3 little dogs from Hornsey Pottery. I think I'll probably plant this up in the springtime, perhaps some snowdrops or something like that, to sit on my kitchen windowsill. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I'm really quite interested in collecting red and white transferware, particularly the pattern that's called Asiatic Pheasant, which I first really noticed when I visited the Burley Pottery at the same time as visiting Wedgwood up in the potteries area of Stoke-on-Trent. So this one is made by masons. I'm probably going to pack this away until Christmas time when I bring out the rest of my red and white transferware collection. And I bought a sugar bowl. Well, it's not just any old sugar bowl. It's a sugar bowl that cost me £3 and quite clearly has never been used. It's still got its Made in England sticker at the bottom. And what intrigued me was this little cap, the little metal flower frog. And it's got a label here which says Abra Plate, Birmingham, England, Master Craftsman, the finest English silver, plated ware. So I'm just wondering whether I can shine that up. Have you ever used the method for polishing silver where you crunch up some tin foil, add warm water and baking powder so it fizzes a little bit? I'm sure I've got a video on that, so I will leave a link to it in the description underneath this video. It's tiny, a really small milk jug. So this is the Castles collection. I'm not sure whether or not it's by Johnson Brothers, but I can definitely see that it says Made in England at the bottom. So here we've got Ludlow Castle on one side and Nottingham Castle on the other. Oh, I can just see Robin Hood. And I reckon this has got to be one of my best finds ever. In fact, one of the friends that I went to Bexhill with spotted this and then seemingly changed her mind, so I snapped it up. It's a candle flower bowl from Harrods and I paid 50p for it. So let's see what's inside the box. So there's two little dishes. They're plastic. And I can put my finger through it. So you would slide a candle up through the centre hole, take off the lid, fill the reservoir with water, add the flower frog back in, and then place tiny little flowers around the base of your candle. Isn't that just fabulous? I can't wait to use it. So I am really pleased with my thrift haul, and I think I spent less than £20 on everything. So don't forget to let me know in the comments which was your favourite find and what you're looking for in the charity shops at the moment. Now before you go, I have got some bonus footage, so if you're not already a member of my YouTube flower arranging club, make sure you click the join button and I'll show you the other things I've been thrifting recently. And if you decide not to join my special membership group, that's all for me for now, and I'll see you again next time.